since we're doing the show at 1 tomorrow, there have been reports that I'm going back to doing the show at 1 o'clock every day. I'm not doing that. I promise you. It's just one day we are doing this. One day. That's it. I mean, I did one show. People are like, "Oh, you're going back to 1." No, it's one day, 1 to 6. The rest of the days will be 3 to 6:30, like always. It's not 1 to 6. It's just 1 to 6 tomorrow because they wanted it to be an extended show because it was, it was a big crowd and the whole thing. So that's why 1 to 6 just tomorrow. Mark in Utica, what's up, Mark?
Mike, next week the shows are starting at 1 or 3:30.
First of all, it starts at 3, not 3:30.
Oh,
Starts at 3. Okay,
what's up? I was calling regarding DeGrom's
yes.
today.
Yes.
Matchup for the ages, Bumgarner, DeGrom. I don't know if it was the nachos or if it was DeGrom's performance, but my stomach is killing me. I don't know if I need Maalox. I don't know if I need Toms.
You need to stay off the phone is what you need to do. Please, you're making us sick. Ryan and Hal, what's up, Ryan?
Mike, is there any way the NCAA can kind of intervene with this?
No, they have no power over Urban Meyer. Listen. The NCAA's got its own problems. They can't come in holier than thou and uproot a Ohio State unless they have rules that were broken, NCAA rules that were broken. But Ohio State did its own investigation. Now, if the NCAA feels there were NCAA rules broken, they could come in and supersede, but they're not going to do that. These guys went and they investigated themselves. They brought in, this investigator, the whole thing, and in essence, they said, basically you could have written it before it was written that they were going to keep Urban Meyer. They were going to bend over backwards to keep. Here's the other part, which I just found, which is just not good either. You ready?
Yeah.
Urban Meyer, with the help of an assistant, discussed and then did delete phone messages from the assistant coach's phone.
That's sounds like the Deflategate with Tom Brady.
I mean, not good. Okay.
Yeah. My thing is with the NCAA, it's like they don't allow. Like, God forbid a player goes and signs autographs for $500. They lose all eligibility.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen. If your point is the NCAA that the NCAA is hypocritical, I mean, please, the NCAA is one of the great. They are the biggest scam artists in the world. Their whole thing is nonsense. All right, I'm telling you, the whole thing, the whole way they do everything is utter nonsense. They're the worst organization in the world, but. This is not about them right now. This is about Ohio State. Ohio State did their investigation. Their investigation will stand. But that 23-page report's a joke because they went into it with the idea that they were not getting rid of a coach who was 73-8. They were not going to do that. Tony in Bayonne, what's up, Tony?
Yeah, Mike. What about Ohio State being hypocritical? Now with this, It's this women's movement, the Me Too, the sexual harassment, domestic violence. And now it's like they turn the other cheek when they get a chance, just like Joe Paterno, to hit a home run here and do the right thing. They screwed up. It's like more liberal hypocrisy. I don't get it.
I don't understand. What does liberal have to do with it? I don't understand why it's liberal or conservative. I don't understand that part. But the point is,
the universities, the professors, the students.
Well, no. Listen, why is I don't know I don't know what these people's politics are, and I don't care. I mean, I don't know what that has to do with anything. But the bottom line is, they wanted to keep their football coach, and they set out to find a way to keep him. That's what it really came down to. I said beforehand, I thought they'd keep him because I said, here's the deal. They go into their work here with the idea that they don't want to fire this man. He's irreplaceable. So they don't fire him. If this guy has an ordinary record, he's an ordinary coach, they bounce him out the door. This is a legendary coach who's irreplaceable. They look and say, we can't replace Urban Meyer. So we're not going to replace Urban Meyer. We're going to figure out a way to make it look like we handled this investigation. We tell Urban Meyer how wrong he was. We tell him he can't do this again. Urban Meyer says, thanks for the chance to, right the wrong, and thanks for the chance to, make sure I don't do it again or whatever. And they move on. I love the line. While the denials were plainly not accurate, we don't think he deliberately lied. Really? Dave in the Bronx, what's up, Dave?
Mike, how are you today?
Hey, what's
Mike?
up?
Quick question, Mike. I had a discussions with a couple friends of mine about the Hall of Fame and the guys that are trying to get in, the steroid users. Mike, if you had the deciding vote, would you put Bonds and Clemens in the Hall of Fame? That's number one. And number two, do you believe that if you do put them in, do you put everybody else in?
I think you either have to treat I don't think you can say that there's some guys who did steroids, but they're so good they get in anyway. You either have to treat steroids as a disqualifying factor or not treat it at all. You can't say, and some people try to, there's certain guys, A-Rod, Clemens, Bonds, who are so good that even though they did steroids, they're so good anyway, they would have gotten it anyway. So we're putting them in. But we're not putting the other steroid guys in. Well, that's not fair. So either you dismiss the steroids as an issue and put everybody in, or you don't put anybody in who tests positive for steroids. Either it's a disqualifying factor or it's not a factor at all. It can't be partially a factor. I've heard that a lot. Well, Bonds, hey, it was a Hall of Famer anyway. All true. So was A-Rod. So was Clemens. But you can't do it that way. Francis in Astoria. What's up, Francis?
Hello?
Yes, Francis.
Hi, long-time caller, first-time listener. Which show is this?
So we have a bunch of dopes today who obviously are home from wherever they're home from, and they want to, call up and see if they can bother the show today. So we have a couple of those. So we've had 2 or 3 get through today. Rob in Tinton Falls. What's up, Rob?
Hey, Mike, I'm just talking about Saquon to see your take on if he should play in the preseason or not.
No, I don't believe in playing the guys in the preseason if they're hurt. I mean, listen, I'm not going to risk anything in the preseason. Nothing. He has nothing to prove. Now, is he missing valuable practice time? Yes. Am I worried about the preseason game? No, I'm not worried about it. I mean, especially at the running back position. I think he'll be fine. You would rather he got to be on the field with a few more of his regulars and just get a little feel for running through the plays a little more. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it. And you don't risk playing these guys with injuries of any kind in preseason games. Chris in Jersey, what's up, Chris?
How you doing, Mike?
Good. What's happening?
Mike, I don't think he should have been suspended. I think that this is 2 adults that acted like 2 knuckleheads underneath their own roof. And Urban Meyer is a football coach. Urban Meyer is not a detective. He's not an FBI agent. There's only 24 hours a day. And his main job is to coach a football team, win games, and put fans in the seats.
Yeah, you couldn't be more wrong, though. Urban Meyer's responsible for his assistants. He hired them.
I get it. But
so you're telling me he doesn't have to act when one of his assistants beats up his pregnant wife?
But no one knows that he beat up his pregnant wife.
What do you mean no one knows?
There's a picture of a bruise on an arm. There's a picture of a cut on a finger that when you ask both sides,
they all now admit that he beat up his pregnant wife, including Urban Meyer. They all do.
No, Urban Meyer says he should have done things differently.
What should he have done differently then?
Urban Meyer didn't want to have that press conference.
Why did he say that he should have done things?
He wasn't going to lose the money.
Then what should he have done differently?
Urban Meyer, he should have fired the coach for being a knucklehead. But it's because he was a knucklehead and taking people to...
What was he a knucklehead for?
When he takes high school football coaches to a strip bar...
How about Urban Meyer erasing his phone messages?
With Urban Meyer erasing his text messaging.
Yeah, no, Urban Meyer erasing the coach's phone messages.
This was an ongoing thing with he said, she said. The police weren't pressing charges on him, and Urban Meyer's supposed to be
Urban Meyer lied. Listen, they said he lied to his. They even admitted he just got the information from the investigator that he didn't tell the truth.
He didn't tell the truth at the press conference.
He didn't tell the truth to the to his superiors. And he never told the school that this guy had been arrested.
He told his AD what was going on.
His AD said he didn't know. Wait a second.
Took it to the compliance.
His AD said he didn't know about this till last month. AD was quoted as saying, I just read it to you. His AD said he didn't know about it till last month. You never heard of any of it until last month. Did not know about it until last month. So, and Urban Meyer and an assistant and an aide took the phone messages off his phone. They got rid of the old messages. They adjusted the settings on his phone and took the messages off his phone to get rid of the older messages. Why would you do that if you weren't trying to destroy evidence?
Urban Meyer told the AD.
Wait a second. I didn't hear. Why did he do that to the phone? I'm trying to hear that. What was that for?
So I don't know. I'm not Urban Meyer.
Oh, okay, but the point is, listen. Wait a second. Because he's in charge of his assistant coaches.
But nothing.
If you know your assistant coach did wrong, you have to deal with it.
But the cops have gone to this house how many times?
I don't know how many times they were there. I don't know enough about
Too many.
Yeah.
Too many.
But the bottom line is, he also said
criminal charges.
He also said he wasn't aware of it when it was proved that he and his wife had discussed it. They didn't tell the truth here. They know Urban Meyer didn't tell the truth here. His denials were plainly not accurate. It was the finding. And they found in here that he did not act like a responsible football coach or anyone we want in our organization as a responsible person. That was his reprimand, and that's why he was suspended. But they weren't going to fire him because he's Urban Meyer. That's why they didn't fire him. They didn't fire him because he's 73-8. If he was 42-41, they fire him.
Maybe.
No, there's no maybes. There's no maybes.
It just
at
seems
42 and 41, he's not worth the trouble.
These coaches are doing these. The assistant coach Zach is doing things underneath his roof he never got arrested for. Never.
Doesn't matter. Urban Meyer said he didn't know it was going. What do you mean what he didn't do wrong? Urban Meyer knew that this guy had done stuff to his wife and let it go when his own wife had called the police to find out what was going on.
But nothing happened with the police. The police didn't find enough evidence to convict this guy.
Doesn't matter. Urban Meyer didn't do anything about it. He let it go.
But he let what go? There's nothing to let go if the police aren't doing anything.
Wait a second.
How come Urban Meyer?
Then why is Urban Meyer saying he was sorry?
Because he has to.
Oh, okay. Wait a second. So wait, you would say you were sorry? If you did nothing wrong, you would stand up and listen. Urban Meyer can get paid. Urban Meyer can get paid anywhere.
You know, and I know that that was not his comments when he read that. He didn't sound sincere.
Wait a second. He said
authentic.
it.
There's nothing good about that.
That's ridiculous. Wait a second. Urban Meyer said it, but he didn't mean it. Now, okay. So now Urban Meyer doesn't mean what he says. I mean, now they're putting words in his mouth. I mean, come on now. You can't say Urban Meyer didn't do anything wrong. I don't get it. But I had people call him and say Joe Paterno didn't do anything wrong. Some people don't think there is anything wrong as long as the guy wins football games. They can do anything they want. So we don't think this guy was beating up his wife. I mean, we pretty much know now that he was. I mean, the investigators, we cannot logically square Coach Meyer's responses, said the investigation. We cannot logically square Coach Meyer's responses. That is in a quote from the investigators. I mean, so the bottom line is they admitted they couldn't sit there and tell you he didn't do anything, but they say, we think, we're drawing a line. We think he, clearly he didn't tell the truth. While those denials were plainly not accurate, we don't think he deliberately lied. Really? I mean, Greg in Piscataway, what's up, Greg?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
What's happening?
Hey, just out of curiosity, could they have fired? So, since there weren't any criminal fouls charged, if Urban Meyer goes in and says, "Hey, you're fired," just based off speculation, would this guy? And don't get me wrong, I'm not defending this guy. I think he's a piece of garbage.
Right.
But could this guy come back and say, "Hey, there's no fouls filed against me," and sue the university? Like, would that maybe have come into play?
No, listen, Urban Meyer is allowed to fire an assistant coach if he wants to. He's allowed to fire the coach. He can fire the coach if he wants. Now, if the coach wants to take him to court and say that, I deserve to get paid, this was a wrongful termination, you want to go take that route. He's always allowed. You're allowed to do that whenever you want. I mean, if you were fired, you're allowed to, and you had a contract, you're allowed to argue that that contract wasn't adhered to. I mean, you can always do that. But Urban Meyer is not going to worry. Listen, Urban Meyer is not going to worry about some assistant coach. I mean, that's not, parting with an assistant coach, if he thinks that he needs to do that, he's not going to have any trouble doing that. Now, why he chose to cover this up, I have no idea, okay? Urban Meyer did not tell anybody at Ohio State about what happened in Florida. He did not do that. He said he knew nothing about it when it was clear that they have evidence that he did know about it. So from that side, from that standpoint, and they tried to say things, that Urban Meyer showed some good judgment in certain things. Urban Meyer revised the morality clause for the coaches in 2014 to make sure that they do not embarrass the university. No more taking anybody to strip clubs. He also prohibited any use of phones for any suggestive material and all this other stuff. So they said, this is in the report too, they tried to give you some good things he did so that they tried to balance the fact that they were going to keep a guy who was lying. That's all, who basically lied. I mean, so, and also, according to, this report here, that he and an aide, basically took the evidence off the guy's phone.
And that's the thing, too. Urban Meyer is supposed to be, a really religious guy. So, I don't – just the hypocrisy in this just, is mind-blowing.
See, look at this. Investigators found that upon learning about the accusations made by Courtney Smith, that Meyer and a fellow football staffer discussed how to adjust the settings on Meyer's phone so that the text messages would be deleted.
Yeah. And so another question, Mike, what is the proper protocol? And I don't know if you know this answer, but what would the proper protocol have been? To fire him or just take it to the authorities?
Well, I think if he had taken it to the school and said, here's the deal with my coach, I'm going to get him counseling, I'm going to see if he deserves to be fired, I'm going to investigate the case, we're going to look into it, see if we can get him help, put him on probation. If there was anything where they said, like they said the first time, there was some question about whether she was telling the truth or not, which a lot of times comes up in these cases, whether it's accurate or not. They said there was some question about whether she was, telling the truth to the police the first time that they were called to the house. He could say, I'm looking into it or stuff like that, as long as he was transparent about it. But he didn't do that. He didn't tell us anybody about it. He denied that he knew about it, and he got caught basically doctoring the guy's phone.
Yeah, but now I'm hearing conflicting stories because when the story originally came out, they said that he went to the authorities and he was told that it was being taken care of. Now,
I don't know. See, you're going back. There was a 2011 incident and a 2009 incident. I don't know if one differed from the other. Okay. So I don't know if Meyer did one thing on one and one thing on the other. There were two incidents, and then in 2015, she told Urban Meyer's wife about it in a series of text messages that those turned out to be very damning to Urban Meyer. He said he did not know about any of this, but it was all there in his wife's text messages. And she actually, Urban Meyer's wife actually, according to the reports, went to the police department to try and find out what the true information was.
Yeah.
So how can Urban say he didn't know about it when his own wife went to the police department?
Yeah, I agree.
So that's why, that's why they are where they are. Jay in Long Island, what's up, Jay?
Hey, Mike, I agree with 100% of everything you said so far. I just got a quick question. I knew they knew that the backlash would be bad, but considering it's been overwhelmingly, from everything I hear, basically 100% not just negative, but disgusted over the fact that this is basically a one-game suspension, do you have any faith that Ohio State kind of does a double turn and says, all right, we screwed up with the suspension, as it gets worse and worse, we have to let this guy go. Do you have any faith?
I think they'll stonewall. Listen, they got slaughtered. People wrote after the press conference that the school still doesn't get it and that Urban Meyer still doesn't get it. After the press conference, okay, guys were writing and people were writing, they proved they still haven't learned anything by how they handled the press conference, okay? But I think on this guy, they are all in, and they're going to take the heat and stonewall it, unless there's something else incriminating. And I think the only thing they're going on is that he didn't do it, that it wasn't him personally who did it, that they feel that they can.
Well, there's a guy named Jopa who lost a lot because he didn't do anything. But
listen, he lost everything. And you know what? Jopa did a lousy job. You can't tell me that Jopa didn't know he did know. And explain to me, and I just like to ask this question about Joe, and I knew Joe Paterno a lot better than I knew Urban Meyer. I had never met Urban Meyer until he sat next to me here for an hour, and we had a great conversation that day, on and off the air. We had mutual friends. We talked about a million things. I really liked him. I got along great with him, but he's wrong in this instant. And Joe Pa, who I had the highest regard for, I don't understand how he could allow Sandusky to still operate and take kids to games and do the things he did knowing what he did. I can't understand in my wildest dreams what Joe Pa was thinking.
Well, I'm just saying, with the Ray Rice video and Joe Pa, you think these guys would have a little common sense in looking as recently as 5-10 years in the past and learning that, like, the only explanation at the end of this is Urban Meyer getting fired. 1 year suspension wouldn't have been enough. 2 year wouldn't have been enough. It's unbelievable.
Let's see. You might be right. Now, Jay, maybe we're in a place where the backlash will be so strong. If it ever turns out that the backlash is so strong that Ohio State recants and fires him, I will say we are in a different place as a culture. Because right now, I say they stonewall it and get away with it. But let's see if you're right. And if you are, it'll show you that the world is in a very different place. WFAN and WFAN FM in New York, 5 o'clock. Here's the Mink Man.